Oh yeah, we here. We here. God is good. Come on in. God is good. Oh yes, today we are talking about what go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. We talking about exhaustion. You know what I'm saying? We talked about restoration and the importance of that yesterday. Now today we are getting into uh, you know the exhaustion that we feel, even though, like I said yesterday, we are leading by example. We're out here really leading. We're out here really putting in work. Okay. So understanding this is extremely important. It's extremely important. So why you're exhausted, even though you're doing everything right. Okay. Hey, this live is for men who are tired of being tired. Okay. And don't understand why why their strength isn't coming back. All right. This live is for men who are tired of being tired. All right. Tired of being tired and don't understand why their strength isn't coming back. All right. We get into these kind of situations. All right. And if you are exhausted, if you're exhausted, even though you're doing right, stay. Stay here. This live is for you. All right. Stay. This live is for you. All right. That was on my spirit. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a real thing. This is a thing about being exhausted and having certain things come upon you, even though you're doing the right thing. All right. Who do we know about this guy from the Bible, man? You know that boy Job. Okay. But again, I'm not even going to break down that whole play right now, but I want you to understand this live is for the Jobs out there. All right. The individuals who understand what it is to be tired, to be tested, and don't really understand why my strength isn't coming back when I want it to. All right. So exhaustion. Also, if you're not willing to examine your alignment, this isn't for you. Like I talked about yesterday, being restored is something that you willingly have to do. Okay. So if you're not willing to examine yourself, not other people, not anybody else but you, if you're not willing to examine yourself, this live isn't for you. Okay. Because we all get to a point where we need alignment. Okay. But in this type of situation, we are dealing with leaders, okay, out here serving at a high level, family, at a high level. Okay. And when I mean a high level, I mean you are serving individuals, not just for a paycheck. Okay. Now, can you be getting a paycheck for serving? Of course. But in reality, you won't really understand what I'm talking about unless you're the type of Christ-like leader who knows how to serve individuals that don't even have anything to offer them back. Okay. Not physically that we can see. All right. But there is so much value there that we know. However, there was a certain level of exhaustion that comes upon us in these type of situations because we're not being poured back into. We're not being compensated spiritually for what we can see. Now, for what we do for God and pleasing God, that's a whole nother topic. But I'm talking about being physically exhausted from doing everything right that you're doing out here in the field. However, your strength is not renewing like you feel like it should. And there's a reason for that, family. There's a reason for that. Okay. I'm obeying, I'm providing. Okay. I'm serving. So why am I empty? All right. This is real. This is real. This leads to burnout. This leads to individuals really being tense on the inside, although serving on the outside. Okay. This leads to what we talked about yesterday about being numb, being irritable in the inner man, where the love for self really is. This is why we have tension, because we're out here doing all the things, checking all the boxes, doing things other people would never do. But why do we do this? We do it for the kingdom. We do it for things that are bigger than us. Okay. We do it for things that we can't even see. Why? Because we believe as leaders in planting seeds. We believe as leaders in serving by and leading by example. Leading by example, family. And leading by example is so important because we have to remember this. Again, this is a Christ-like principle. He said that the greatest among you will be the servant. You see, the greatest in the world is the leader of leaders, the person of, the Solomons. Everybody loves Solomon when he's high, right? This is classic. This is classic leadership right here. Everybody praises Solomon when he was in his prime, right? Because he did amazing things. But in reality, that led to a downfall, right? In which he had to be restored, okay? And then his testimony was totally different. But we learn from everything. However, what do people glamorize? Solomon had the wisdom. He drew in people. They paid him for his services. Yeah, I get that. And where did that lead to? Pride. And what did that lead to? Downfall. And then what did that lead to? Restoration. Okay, family? Let's talk about the whole play here. Okay, let's talk about the whole play. Don't you think it confused Solomon when things didn't necessarily go the way he thought it was going to go? Don't you think he was like, man, God, you gave me all the wisdom like I asked you for. I was out here putting on and doing everything I was supposed to be doing. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like everything that I did was vanity? It's because he was being restored. Okay. They feel confused, guilty, and spiritually dull. That's what I felt this type of things before, family. This is, like I said, this is all the way from the top. This is nothing to be shameful about. I have to reiterate that all the time because, again, this is about falling on your sword as a leader. Very few leaders don't understand that nowadays. They rather blame it on people that they're serving. They rather blame it on who knows, anybody but themselves. But this is not about blame. This is about understanding how to be restored and learning why we need to be restored. And I'm telling you right now, family, just like everybody wants to talk about the highlights of Solomon, I'm here to tell you that at the end, Solomon had to be restored, just like we all do. Of course, it always comes a little later, and that's exactly why I'm dealing with men, Christ-like leaders, okay, executives. I'm dealing with businessmen who think like Christ and understand the sacrifice and have already been making the sacrifice of leadership. And I've already been doing, like I said, the right things, everything right. Come on now, family. I'm talking about serving for the kingdom. I'm not necessarily saying they're millionaires and billionaires because that's not always the case. So listen closely. Okay. Exhaustion, laziness brings laziness. It brings laziness. And you know what the laziness shows up in? It shows in your message. It shows in how you treat people. It shows in how open you are to listen to others and learn from others. See that? You see that? It's not, I'm talking about laziness the way you just want to kick back and put your feet up and not do nothing. I'm not talking about that. Leaders, we know when to relax, but in reality, we don't have a problem when learning how to kick it into gear and go out and do what we need to do with service. But in reality, the laziness comes in how you treat people. It always is that. Okay. And then as you treat people, then you're starting to recognize, man, okay, why am I being a little harsh there? Why am I talking too much here? Why am I not really understanding what this person is saying right now? Okay. And it's not the other person, it's always us as leaders. It's exhaustion. Okay. You're not off your game. No, you're just exhausted. So now you're being lazy in your listening. You're being lazy in your listening. You're being lazy in your thinking. We're going more off of ego and pride and knowledge and wisdom. See, family, these things are extremely important. All right. If we're not walking in love, all right, if we're not understanding what the mission really is behind leadership and service, you will not understand what it means to be restored, and you will continue to have a lazy pattern in how you deal with people. And guess what? People are going to notice, and they're not going to say anything to you, family. They're not. They're going to potentially talk about you, but that's not the thing. The thing is that you are failing to lead by example. Okay. Most of the time, you're not going to hear when people tell you these type of things. They're ready to tell you when you're doing good. People don't really want to tell you when you strike a nerve. They're going to go back and they're going to say, hey, the pastor said this, and whoever said that, the leader, my executive said this. And really, in reality, you just talk too much because you were lazy in your listening. You were lazy in your thinking. You did not think before you spoke, and you spoke when you were supposed to be listening. And these things are an example of being exhausted in leadership, which is normal. It's normal, family. It is normal. Do not feel shame for that. Burnout. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Right here. This is really something that we need to pay attention to, because burnout and weakness that's not the same thing. Okay, it's not the same thing at all. It's not the same thing at all. All right, we need to understand that. Okay, burnout is not weakness. Okay, it's not. It's not weakness at all. And we need to really understand that, because in reality, as we get exhausted as leaders, to feel like we may need somebody to come alongside of us could, feel a little awkward, feel a little weird, feel a little shameful, feel a little weak, feel like, hey man, nah, I'm good. I got this. All I need is, me and my cross. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to carry my cross and I'm going to follow the Christ. All of those things sound great. Okay. They sound great. But we got to understand here, we don't want to try to lead while being exhausted, because that doesn't end up well. That does not end up well. We will not be able to receive the fruits and really understand what it is to lead, okay, at a high level consistently. We know so many leaders out here, family. We know so many leaders out here that think burnout is a weakness. They think it's a weakness. They don't want to be honest with themselves. They don't want to be wise enough to understand that pride leads to the fall every time. It does, family. I know it from firsthand knowledge. I got so many stories about pride in myself that I would just flood y'all with them. You know what I mean? Maybe one day I'll give you some stories, but in reality, it doesn't matter right now. My story doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you understand that it is not a weakness to experience burnout. It is totally normal. It's totally normal, family, to be out here in a harvest that's plentiful and be one of the few workers. Don't you think we're going to get tired? Don't you think we're going to get burned out? Of course we are. So it's not a weakness. Okay. Fatigue often, okay, here we go. Fatigue often equals misalignment. All right, not workload. See, I'm not telling you that you need to stop doing what you're doing. No, we are talking about still moving forward in our leadership, still moving forward in our businesses, still moving forward in our churches, still moving forward in our family, our relationships. We're not going to stop moving, family. This is what this is about. Restoration is about keeping moving, keep going to get to that end goal, which is to be able to lead by example, to be able to lead at a high level from being restored into having a pure spirit, a pure soul while leading. At the end, Solomon said it was all vanity, but he was so joyful in getting this knowledge and understanding this experience. Success is something that will teach us a whole lot. And leadership is something that we will always cherish as long as we can face burnout and deal with burnout the right way. That's it. Because at the end of the day, people begin, just like in bad relationships, people get bitter and they start having resentment. And it's like, no, you were doing such a great job. You just stopped a little bit too soon. If things got a little rough for you and you got burned out and you didn't get the help that you needed. Therefore, when you're riding and you're not aligned, if you're moving and you're misaligned, eventually you're going to break down and you're not going to be able to move at all. It's something that happens and we can't even control. It's just on what level does it happen on? Does it happen on a level where you just do something out of this world that just gets you in so much trouble, get you, you lose everything? Is it something that just puts you so much shame on you that you commit suicide? Is it something that, you just wait to the last minute to fix? Or is it something that, you get to slide by and then, if you don't acknowledge it, then, eventually it'll catch up to you. Who knows? It may not have caught up to you yet. But do you want to chance that? Do you really want to do that? It doesn't make any sense. We already know things are wobbly. We already know things are misaligned right now. So why not concentrate on fixing that? We have to. We have to, family. And we got to understand our workload is going to stay the same. If not, get heavier, depending on where you at in your journey with God and all that stuff. If he can trust you with more, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to still have to be a good steward of what you have. This is not about, oh, I'm feeling bad for myself. I can't help you. I need to take a break. No, this ain't about no break. This is about restoration in the field. When we're in battle, okay, we got everything we need right there. When you're in battle, you got everything. You got the medics, you got the chaplain, you got everything right there. Right there. That's the same thing like us. We're in spiritual warfare. And guess what, family? We got everything right here. We just have to be willing to follow through. Okay, so moving on. Obedience out of order still costs you. Okay. Yeah, what is this? What is the cause of obedience out of order? Obedience out of order is a situation where we get caught up in pleasing people. We get caught up in a certain type of response from people. We get caught up in a certain type of environment. Comfortable, I might add. This is why our obedience would be out of order, because you would be thinking, oh, well, I'm being obedient. But are you though? Your obedience is misaligned. Your obedience is off, because who are you being obedient to? Who? If your obedience is off, you will be exhausted and you will feel burnout, and you will still think you can get it done. You will still think that you can get the job done. But like I said, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. We're no different. It costs everybody who thinks like this and operates like this. The more that we understand that our obedience out of order will cost us, the more we'll pay attention to where our loyalty stands at all times. Who are you trying to please in situations? Who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to people's feelings? Are you loyal to what people think about you? Or are you loyal to truth? Are you loyal to being honest with yourself? Are you loyal to understanding that God sees you a certain type of way out here in this world, and you need to pay attention to that? God knows when we're exhausted. He knows it. He wants us to be able to willingly admit it and deal with it before he has to step in and not even, he don't even have to step in. He steps back, right? And lets our pride do what it does best, lead us to a downfall. And that's the type of things that we're preventing here. All right. You can be faithful and still be misaligned. Come on. This is right. This goes right into that. Okay. You're being obedient. Oh, yeah. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You're being faithful. Oh, boy. Oh, man. I'm being faithful to God. I'm being faithful to the word of God. I'm being faithful to my church. I'm being faithful to my congregation. I'm being faithful to my staff. But the whole time, you're failing. You're failing yourself, because why? You're misaligned and you know it. See, I love dealing with leaders. Okay. I love dealing with people who are in leadership roles because, yeah, we get misaligned and that's normal. But this makes sense because we understand. We understand these type of things. We understand what misalignment means. We understand what it means to have an off day, in a sense, or be off. We understand that. But when burnout sets upon you and you're doing everything right and you're still trying to do your old tactics to keep your strength up, keep your spirits going, but those old tactics, those old techniques are not going to continue to work. It's going to catch up with you and it's going to cost you. And that's what happens to many leaders, guys. We know this. We know this. We see so many leaders get caught up in their arrogance, get caught up in their ego, get caught up in their success, get caught up in their pride. That doesn't have to be us. We could continue to lead at a high level, We could continue to lead at a high level, be faithful, understand that, man, I could be as faithful as I want to be. But if I'm feeling burnt out and I'm feeling exhausted, I need to check what I'm doing, because if I'm being faithful in what God wants me to be faithful, He's going to make sure that I'm feeling restored. I'm not going to be feeling drained because I'm going to be fulfilled in my faithfulness. See, you're not being fulfilled in your faithfulness because you need to be restored, because you're exhausted. So even if you are doing what you believe God wants you to do, you're not doing it in the right spirit. You're not doing it in the right soul. Your heart is off. Your mind is off. Your motives off. God doesn't anoint grind culture. Okay. Yeah. You come on now. Think about it. Think about it. Do it say we have to grind? Nope. That's what unbelievers do. Unbelievers feel like I gotta grind it out. That's pride. And God does not anoint that type of spirit, family. No matter what we want to think about ourselves, Christ came with a mission and He fulfilled His mission. And His mission was very clear. It was that I am the I am, okay? And I'm going to do everything that you can't do, right? And then I'm going to give you my spirit when I leave to show you and lead and guide you, because I'm not going to leave you. That's a cold game, family. Think about that play. He came down here, completed his mission, way bigger than we could ever even think of or understand. We understand it on a basic level, and that's okay. But in reality, to be able to achieve this type of restoration in leadership, just like Solomon had to do, family, there takes a real individual, real examination over yourself. You know how people go sit in the MRI and you sit there and you let them people do the examine or the machine on you, run you through the MRI. You got to be doing MRIs on yourself. Okay, and that's where, hey, Watchman Leadership Restoration comes in. All right, this is what we are not passionate about, but this is what we specialize in. All right. When you have something that you specialize in, it may not be your passion. It just, you gotta base these type of things off of results. That's why you could be obedient, doing what you need to do, and still be in a situation where it's gonna cost you. And again, remember, you're feeling exhausted even though you're doing everything right. So doing everything right is not working. Do you need to stop doing everything right? No, you need to keep on. As a matter of fact, we just continue to try to get better and better and better. We don't get to a point where we just feel like, oh, I'm doing everything right. That's just a way of thinking that is a normal human way of thinking. And we're dealing with the flesh here. We're dealing with our leadership from a very harsh standpoint when it comes to being real with ourselves, family. Okay, understand that this is not to be comfortable. This is not to be played with. This is a very serious matter, because again, we have to stay out here working, family. We got to keep serving. We got to keep leading. We can't fall off. That is a horrible example. We got to be able to deal with our exhaustion. We got to be able to deal with our misalignment. We got to deal with these type of things. We can't just ignore them. We can't wait for things to just get so bad to now we got to quit. Now we got to take time off. Now we got to do all these type of things that are not of God, family. And that's what Satan wants us to be, man. He wants us to be like the individuals that complain. He don't want us to be like Job and understand that God is always moving. And we just got to understand when God's moving that patience is key. Peace is key. So exhaustion, that's automatically going to put us in a state of disorder with our peace, with our patience, with our long suffering. Like I said, all these type of things affect that. And it's how you treat people. When you're impatient, you get irritable. When you don't know how to practice long suffering, you get numb to people with their BS. Understand this, family, okay? You could be faithful and still be misaligned. Still be misaligned. You know, this is equal to the individuals that the Bible talks about that will transition. And when you transition and you go, and you see the Christ and you're like, he's like, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. And you're like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I was doing this, I did this, and I did this, and I did that. And he says, depart from me, I never knew you, family. Why does he not know them? Because they were out of alignment with him in the process of doing those things. So I'm not trying to push heaven or hell on you, but in reality, we all got to lay it down one day. In the meantime, if you're the leader that I know you are, you want to lead at a high level. This is how you lead at a high level. You understand the importance of pleasing God in a sense to where you are loving God, loving yourself, and loving others, and not out here trying to please people and live in your comfort. Exhaustion is real. It's very real, family. And the more that we can admit these type of things, these are examples of falling on our swords as leaders. This is honorable. It's honorable to fall on your sword as a leader. It's honorable to take responsibility for everything in your life, not only the things that people can see, not only your materialistic things that you have. No, it's those things that you know inside you that are off, that people cannot see, and they're not supposed to see. Why? Because you're a leader. You're a leader. You're supposed to know when you need to be restored. See, that's what makes Solomon great to me, family. Solomon is great to me, not because of what he had, not because of what he did. Yeah, he asked God for wisdom and God gave it to him. Great. You know what I'm saying? That was a great thing to ask for. Okay. But that's not why I respect Solomon. I respect Solomon for the whole play. He had it, he lost it, he didn't get bitter. He learned from it and he understood what was most important. And he was restored. All right. So what did he do? He got out of alignment. How? Because he was so successful. Family, listen to that math right there. That is very important math that we need to understand. Understand that success brings misalignment. It's not that God doesn't like business and he doesn't like money. No, he doesn't like what it does to his leaders. It causes them to think that they don't need him. It causes them to think that they don't need to be restored. It causes them to think that what they have speaks for them. No. And what they've done speaks for them. No, family, it does not. It does not. We must acknowledge the fact that restoration is serious. We must acknowledge that as leaders doing the work of, whatever it is you're out there doing for your motives that are hopefully pure and Christ-like, you're going to go through struggle. You're going to go through persecution. You're going to go through being trained. And we like this kind of stuff. We like the kind of work. We like this. That's how we know we're doing the leadership, this leadership thing correctly. If you're a true leader, you know that. You know that some people are going to like you, some people aren't going to like you. But hey, you know what? I love everybody. And it's very funny how the individuals who, are supposed to be out here telling me the truth and helping me restore, only thing they want to do is congratulate me on my success. They don't even understand that I'm in here struggling, man. I'm struggling in my spirit. I'm struggling in my mind. I'm off, man. I'm stuck because I'm successful and I'm at the top of my game, but I'm still feeling misaligned and I don't know what to do because I'm being obedient and I'm being as faithful as I can. Family, there's no shame in this game. I'm telling you, this is just what happens as leaders. We get drained. We get exhausted. We don't get exhausted by sitting on our asses. Okay. We get exhausted by being in the field, putting in work. We get exhausted by really walking in the spirit and understanding what the spirit wants us to do on a daily basis. That is exhausting because the flesh wants to do totally opposite. That's already exhausting right there. The amount of times in our day that we put the flesh to the side and we understand the spirit in doing things, which is doing things for other people and treating people the way that we want to be treated instead of pleasing our flesh all the time and doing what we want to do. We know this, family. This is how there's no other way to lead. People that lead the other way, we already know what type of spirit that is. All day, we know that's the Pharisee spirit all day. We know that's the individuals who really think that burnout is weakness. Oh, you're burnt out. Oh, that's weak. And man, these be the main ones out here crying, boo-hoo. You know what I'm saying? Doing all that. And how does that look? To me personally, when I'm out here leading in the field, if I can cry and come along somebody and cry, but what does it look like if I'm all broken and I'm trying to help individuals who are broken? It don't work that way, family. We cannot do this. And this is one of the things that happen when you don't address burnout. This is part of being misaligned with God. You'll be out here thinking you're being effective, but really you're just out here telling on yourself. Really? That is so powerful, family. You will be out here telling on yourself. And like I said, it's because of how you treat people, how you listen, how you get lazy in your listening. Okay. Exhaustion doesn't mean that you're a lazy person. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you're a lazy person. No, it means that you get lazy in those critical things that you have to do to be a good steward of what you have. See how the enemy comes in and tries to take away what we have because it's there to steal, kill, and destroy. And if we put our treasures and we put our eggs in that basket, exhaustion will come in and we'll just ignore it. We'll just ignore it. We'll belittle it. You know, we'll do all that, man. We'll get burned out and we'll think of it as a weakness. Oh man, I'm burned out, but that's all right, man. I'm good, man. I'm strong. I'm gonna keep on going. And then what do? You keep on going. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna keep on going, family. You're gonna keep on going. However, the crash out is what we're trying to prevent. It lets down so many people. But most of all, it lets down God. You know, in these moments when we face burnout and exhaustion, God is watching us, man. This God is excited. You know what I'm saying? He's like, man, this is the moment. This is the moment when I get to restore them, to really let them know, who's running this thing. And we need that, family. We need that because we get misaligned. Like I said, success in wisdom in this world leads to being misaligned. Why? Because when you operate like that in this world wants to treat you like a god. And then you get, in that type of mentality of, oh, I'm a god, oh, I'm this, or I'm that. You may not say it, but people are treating you like it. So then therefore, that in itself is going to lead to compromise. And a lot of that compromise, people aren't willing to admit. But you don't have to admit it. Only thing you have to do is really understand when you're off. And it could be when you're doing everything right. That is key. You could be obedient, you could be faithful, but still be off. You could be obedient, you could be faithful, but still have some heavy karma coming your way. All right. And again, I'm not about to get into, karma and all these type of things because that's not important, because the bottom line is it's going to cost you and ain't no telling on what's going to happen. It's not worth it, family. We got to continue to be leaders in the field. We got to keep the momentum going. My youngest daughter, she's in college right now. She's jumping hurdles, and that's how we got to be, family. We got to be hitting them hurdles. That hurdle, keep that stride. I'm burning out. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's got to be. Restoration makes that happen. Restoration doesn't have us skipping a beat. Again, people want to glorify Solomon through the great things he did. I glorify him by being able to do great things and then happen to go through what he went through by causing division and kind of, disappointing, history in a sense. in the future, he kind of let everything, he kind of let things kind of, get away. And he knows it. That's why he called everything that he did before vanity, family. And I love it. That's what I love about Solomon's leadership. And that's what we need to love about our leadership, family. It's not the fact that we can be successful. No, that's not it. It's the fact that we could be very successful, go through burnout, go through exhaustion, and know how to bounce back even greater, brand new, brand new. Not walking around thinking that we're doing everything we need to be doing, but get told, depart from me, I never knew you. Because we was out here operating in ego, in arrogance, and pride. Remember, we're getting serious about this. We're not getting arrogant about this. We don't want to walk in pride. We don't want to think that we're not sick. We want to understand that we're dealing with sick people, but we as well can get sick. And what happens when we get sick? We understand that we need to be restored. Who is our healer? Okay, think about that. Think about it. This type of math plays in our lives every day. And as leaders, we are going to go through this. It's inevitable, especially if you're successful. If you're not that successful out here, you will go through burnout. Okay, the burnout that you're experiencing right now isn't necessarily the burnout that I'm speaking about right now if you're not necessarily a successful person in your life. But when I say successful, you're out here leading by example. You're out here serving to lead. Okay, you're not just leading because somebody gave you a position or a degree. Those things play as well. But that's not the type of leadership that is Christ-like, or even at the highest level, family. At the highest level, you got people who never even been to college. At the highest level, you got people that, aren't that smart. And even at the highest level of leadership, you got even people that aren't rich. Who cares? Since when did those things determine a person's soul? It doesn't. It doesn't, family. It does not. Success is great. Money, I get it. Hey, it's part of the games. It's like Christ says, give Caesar what's due to Caesar. It's part of the system. We get it, great. But when it comes to leadership, when it comes to being obedient by sacrifice, we got to understand that we always have to be open and to examining ourselves. Okay, open to examine ourselves, just like that MRI, putting ourselves with that. Look at me, I'm lacking right here. I'm not feeling myself right here. I'm letting these type of thoughts creep in here. I'm letting this type of laziness come in my listening, in my speech, and how I'm dealing with people, how I'm talking to my wife, how I'm handling my kids, how I'm dealing with my subordinates or my mentors or my leadership. Remember that, family. It is always going to come down to understanding how to examine yourself. Come on, that's it. 2026, we know it. We can get it. We can feel it. What Christ did on that cross is real. When he resurrected, that was real, family. We know that. We believe in that. So what are we doing about it? Are we looking at everybody else? Are we waiting for something to happen? No, we're going to examine ourselves. When things, feel off, we're going to examine ourselves and we're going to get it right away. Bam, I need alignment. Bam, I need to be renewed. Bam, I need to be restored. These type of things come from self-examination. This is why you have to be willing to be restored. A lot of people aren't even willing to be restored. They don't think they need restoration. Why? Because they got money. They got success. And they're not living to please the Father. They're not living to transition out of this life to hear, job well done. They're only living this life to feel like they're doing a great job. That's it. See, a lot of people are okay with just doing everything right. You know what I'm saying? And being able to say, you know what? I did everything right. I'm doing everything right. And those are the individuals that Christ is going to say, the judge is going to say, when we transition, Christ himself is going to tell us, depart from me, I never knew you. You already did your thing, man. You know, then you ain't that what you did. You were successful. You did your thing. You did everything that you thought was right, and that's where it ended for you. You didn't understand that when you do those type of things in the world, exhaustion is coming. It's coming. And when you're exhausted, that's when I'm standing there like, hey man, pick me. And God brings certain people across our path to be able to help us to be restored. And that is a blessing. That is a blessing, family. That is not weakness. That does not mean that you failed. That means that you understand the love of God behind wisdom. Okay, wisdom is just part of it. You still got to experience the love of God, because the love of God is so powerful where it's going to say, man, look at all the stuff I got from my wisdom. That stuff is vanity. So, what's he kind of saying about wisdom? Think about it, family. Nothing is greater than love. I am talking to you about it, teaching you about it, sharing with you about it, coming alongside of you to really understand what it means to love yourself so that you can keep your strength coming from God and you can stay renewed because you're continuing the loving for God and love for yourself and love for others. You're keeping that moving. You got to keep that moving, family. You can't lack in either way. So feeling exhaustion and addressing that to be restored is showing love for self. The lack of doing that and still operating at a high level while being exhausted, knowing that you're misaligned, that's going to cost you. And I think that we need to pay attention to these type of things in our own lives, family. All right. In our own lives, we have to examine ourselves. And this is what this is about. This is what this live is about. It's about having people understand that these things are not weaknesses. This means that you're doing it right. We know Solomon did everything right. He did it all right. However, what happened, family? He's still divided, man. He's still divided the kingdom. Oh my goodness. How could you, Solomon? But in reality, he bounced back. He understood what it was, man. He understands the play. He understands it. God does this for his chosen, man. He restores us. He loves it. Why? Because when we do end up transitioning to see him, we get to hear that job well done, my good and faithful servant. Because we understood that not a daggone thing we did in this life could have been done if he didn't allow it. See, this is falling on your sword, family. These people that whatever religion they had back in the day, and these soldiers and these leaders from back in the day, they understood honor. They understood these type of things. They understood loyalty. They understood obedience. They understood faithfulness. Now, whether they were doing it to whoever and whatever God or whatever, or if they were doing it to Christ, I don't know. But these are things and strategies that leaders have been using forever. Forever, family. Restoration is most important. Why? Because restoration comes after success, not before. That's why I said God doesn't anoint grind culture. He's not, nah, man. Come on now. Come on. Remember the culture. If you're out here grinding and doing what you're doing, that's not what I'm saying. You got to understand what we're talking about here is God does not anoint that type of spirit in people. One that is not faithful, one that is not understanding how the next person is moving and thinking in their perspectives and trying to put their opinions and what they think above that. It's not of God, family, but these things happen because of exhaustion. Exhaustion will make us feel more defensive. It will make us feel more defensive when we shouldn't be. So then, therefore, we'll get into senseless arguments. We'll get into, say, things that we don't mean to people that we love. But the people that we're serving to just think, well, hey, man, this is a great person. But in reality, you're struggling. So you're really taking it out on people that's close to you. So I want all my brothers out there, all the individuals that come across this live and this video to really understand one thing walking away. Examining yourself is extremely important. And we need to be in the habit of doing this, examining ourselves, just like if you go to a doctor and get examined. And when you examine yourself and you understand the misalignment in your life, identify that, you need to go ahead and reach out to me. Okay. Reach out to me. If you are in these type of situations where you are leading at a high level and still feeling exhausted, all right, there is help. There is help out here, you know. And that's what I want to leave you with tonight, man. I want to be able to allow you to really understand that first examination is important, because when you examine yourself, that will determine your level of willingness to fix yourself, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And then as you start thinking about, man, how do I fix myself? You'll understand that I can't fix myself by myself. You see, we got to think these things through. This isn't something that you try to convince yourself. I'm not trying to convince you to do anything or say anything. No, I want to encourage you that if you're feeling like this, to reach out to me for sure. But this is the thinking process that you need to have while you're evaluating and examining yourself. Okay. I'm giving you a little bit of a key on a little bit of exercise or something to practice on how to evaluate yourself. Okay. You run through your plays on your day. You examine on however you treated everybody throughout your day, both the people that pissed you off and the people that made you happy. Okay. And you just examine those type of encounters. You examine everything about yourself. And I guarantee you, the way you treat people is going to tell you everything you need to know about yourself. Right. If we sit on a call, we start talking and, if something comes out of your mouth about another person, it don't even matter what it is. I can automatically understand exactly who is exhausting you, why you're exhausted. You know what I'm saying? Again, when you get exhausted in these type of things, it's not a weakness, but you can become defensive. All right. We've all been there, family, but we got to understand that this is a key sign that we need to be restored. This is the key sign that, hey man, my check engine light is on. I'm misaligned. And it's totally normal. It's totally fine. It is okay. And I want y'all to know that. All right. So that's all for the live tonight. But stay encouraged. And if you are experiencing exhaustion or burnout and you are a leader, all right, Christ-like leader, high-level leader, pastors, ministry leaders, chaplains, faith-driven executives, and men who value discretion, message me. Okay, message me. So much love and respect.